Everyone loves the story of Beauty and the Beast. The Disney version of the story was well received enough to become the first animated feature nominated for Best Picture. But some people believe the romantic fable is based in part on a true story, and that story is pretty dark. Pedro Gonzalez was born in Tenerife in 1537, a little more than 40 years after Spain conquered and enslaved the native people. Born with a rare disorder that left him completely covered in hair, Pedro was given as a gift to Henry II, the King of France. According to the Smithsonian, the French believed him to be a true beast and kept him in a cage, feeding him raw meat and animal feed. They also changed his name to the fancy Latin version, Petrus Gonsalvus. Known today as Ambras syndrome, the condition Petrus had is incredibly rare. Thought to affect fewer than 1 in a billion people, there have only been about 50 to 100 cases recorded since the Middle Ages. Though some became famous, such as Shui Mong of Burma, who married into his country's royal family in the 19th century, many were shunned and forced to become circus sideshow performers. And things aren't necessarily much better today. In 2011, 12-year-old Supatra Sassoufan was named World's Hairiest Girl by the Guinness Book of World Records, a designation which she noted was a step up from the other names that she's been called, such as Wolf Girl and Monkey Face. As an experiment, King Henry II took Petrus out of his cage, dressed him up in the finest clothes, and began giving him all the same education the nobles of the period got. The boy's fancy education included military training, etiquette, speech, reading, and writing. It turned out he was a prodigy, becoming fluent in 3 languages, including Latin. Petrus became a celebrity with royal dignitaries and ambassadors flocking to meet him. Pleased, Henry promoted him, and Petrus eventually became a highly ranking member of the king's attendants. But he was never truly viewed as an equal at court, something that became clear when the king suddenly died. After Henry II's death, his wife, Catherine de' Medici, became regent. She decided to conduct her own cruel experiment, marrying Petrus off to a servant's beautiful daughter to see if they could produce more hairy children. The bride, who was also named Catherine, reportedly didn't know who she was marrying until she arrived at the altar. Catherine and Petrus ended up having 7 children, and 4 of them were indeed afflicted with Ambras syndrome. The queen was delighted, as she now had 4 more people to show off at parties like trained pets. Despite the indignities, there were some perks to living at court, like a home and an income. Those were lost when the queen died in 1589. Petrus and his family were forced to go on the road, visiting places like Bologna, Parma, Ferrara, and Rome. During their travels, the family was treated as a roving curiosity by the noble courts they visited. They were reportedly well compensated to entertain their hosts, but some of the hairy children were still given away to distant rulers, possibly to guarantee their safety and financial future. All of this traveling made the Gonsalves family among the most famous individuals in Europe. They were widely studied by the leading scientific authorities of the day, who treated them with far more respect than the general public, which still viewed the family as little more than savages or even animals. Yet they still became a bit of a cultural sensation, and no wealthy household was complete without a painted portrait of Petrus or one of his famous offspring, which is why so many images of them still exist today. According to History vs. Hollywood, after traveling around Europe for years, the remaining family members settled in Parma, Italy, where they were employed by Duke Ranuccio Farnese. The last mention of Petrus is in 1617 when he attended the christening of one of his grandchildren. There is no record of his death, but there is evidence Catherine died in 1623. And it's also believed that at least one of the hairy Gonsalves daughters married and had her own children. While they were married an estimated 40 years and had 7 children, people still wonder if Catherine and Petrus were actually in love. One hint that they were is in a portrait of the couple, where she has her hand on his shoulder. It's been noted by historians that this gesture was used by painters to show genuine affection between husbands and wives, so it's possible their relationship truly was a worthy basis for the love story in Beauty and the Beast. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.